to talk with you this morning, it's really to bring a little bit more insight to what we've already heard, but bring it into business, and for me, bringing it into the retail sector. So just really to provide a little bit of context, and then within HR, how we build skills and talent and engagement around that changing context. So, you know, we're all shoppers, whether that's through pleasure or necessity. We all know retailing. So the food retailing industry has been changing phenomenally in recent years. I'd say probably in the last 2 to 3 years, more change than the last 20 or 30. So much change because so many of us want convenience, and so many of us use technology now to shop. So in the last 4 years, the online food shopping industry has increased by more than 200%. More and more customers are choosing not to go into stores and are preferring to shop on a tablet or a smart device. That has fundamentally changed how I need to be thinking, how many of you, I'm sure, in this audience involved in retailing in the supply base need to be thinking about how we service those customer wants and those changing habits. Many of us have had online retailing departments or .com home shopping areas within our organisation for many years. Asda has had a grocery home shopping business for more than 15 years. Being right at the wrong time, maybe, now is the time to be right at the right time. So whilst within Asda, as I said, this business has been part of the organisation for many years, it's been a subset, it's been a startup, it's been a small department within the overall organisation. We've now fundamentally changed that, with so many more of our customers choosing that channel more and more frequently to engage with our brand. It's meaning that so much more of our organisational structure needs to concentrate on those particular customers, because those customers totally interchange how they shop and engage with us as a brand, continually through a variety of channels. So we've now changed our structure and had to think about becoming an omni-channel retailer. So rather than having a separate function and division that dealt with online customers, we've smashed all that up and created every department now services any and every customer, regardless of how they choose to interface with us. That's fundamentally different. That means there are different jobs required. The skill set of every individual in our business needs to be able to think about every sort of customer engaging with us. And therefore, the skills that I need to prepare people for and the types of work they're engaged in has fundamentally begun to change. We were talking earlier about borrowing and understanding global trends, and on this, I'll tell you, the UK is leading the way. Asda is part of Walmart, I'm sure you're aware. Walmart is the largest company in the world, over $500 billion of sales, 2.2 million colleagues worldwide. The UK is an absolute hub for online shopping. We, in this island with so much competition, are innovating and changing and responding to customers faster than any other retailing environment across the world. So on this, I don't have somewhere that I can go and ask the big dad that I've got in Walmart, where else can I go and learn and find examples of this? It doesn't exist yet. So we're pioneering and figuring this out as we go. Our online business in the UK has set to shift from £1 billion worth of sales this year to more than £3 billion by 2018. It is moving that fast. So for me, I'm having to innovate and change on the hoof, some of which I'm getting right and some of it, frankly, I'm not, but I'm learning fast. This next month, we're opening our first click and collect pod in St Helens. This is a new concept where customers will drive up to the pod. It is not a shop. Not a single colleague works in it. They'll scan their iPhone and the doors will open and their groceries will arrive straight for them to put in the back of their car. It's very different, it's automated, and it causes a huge amount of change up through the supply chain into, again, affecting many businesses, I'm sure, in this room, to cause us to restructure, reorganize how we work together, the hours we worked, the shifts that are required, and how business partnerships have worked for many, many years now need to be changed and reformed together in a more collaborative way. For example, within my own stores, I can say my own stores actually, my job has changed. So in the VUCA world that we're all in, even I'm in my own little VUCA space myself. You saw from my title, I am the HR director, but I'm also running the stores at the moment as well. Count the lines. Really thinking about from a store point of view, the shifts and the skills my store colleagues need now are very different. What hour of the day would you say is the biggest turnover for a 24-hour trading store? Any idea? What hour in the day is the busiest in terms of numbers of transactions going through tills in the day? Friday? Saturday maybe? Sunday? Lunchtime? Friday evening? 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. That is the busiest time in grocery retailing. Why? Everybody's saying, what? Clearly, you're not in our stores at that time in the morning, and I would advise you to come at another time. It's incredibly busy at that time in the morning because that is the time our grocery home shopping colleagues are picking customer orders for online delivery later in the day. More transactions go through our store tills between 5 and 6 a.m. than at any other hour across the week. It is the busiest time. So in order for me to have colleagues in at the right time, I've had to fundamentally restructure the whole organisation. This has really caused, as you can imagine, with 170,000 colleagues, a huge amount of change and difference in a company that celebrates 50 years, being 50 years old later this year. So my colleagues, as I said, 170,000 of them, I'm not starting from scratch. I'm not starting up this business. I have a legacy business. I have over 600 stores. I have 170,000 colleagues serving over 18 million customers a week through those stores still. Yet we have this growing internet business that I need to service and ensure that I've got the right skills and the right flexibility to keep that business growing whilst continuing to offer customers who prefer to come and do their own shopping in an environment that's pleasant and they can dwell if they wish to, and keep all of that in balance. The organisation and the retail sector has traditionally had a lot of part-time working and particularly encouraged lots of young workers in our business. So lots of colleagues coming for the first time, and that's still true. More than 40% of 16 and 17-year-olds in the UK have their first experience of work in one of the food retailers. First experience, as I say, in food retailing. So whilst we still welcome a huge amount of colleagues in the under 24 age bracket, and currently in Asda I've got 16% of my workforce in that under 24 age group, it's the over 55s that are expanding fastest. So with more of us choosing, or perhaps not choosing, to work longer, it's really important to understand that diversity across the workforce. And I checked across to the US to see how that was shaping up in the Walmart world and just did a little comparison in these age groups. And again, in the US, we can see that they have got actually 6% higher than I've got in Asda right now of over 55s at work at this particular time. What does that mean? Well, it means that the reality of the workforce that we have in our organisation right now spans around 70 years. As a leader, you've probably got 5 generations of people all under one roof that you're trying to engage, lead, inspire, satisfy, and so that they can bring themselves and contribute to the very best they can in what they're doing, high productivity and the best service they can possibly give. That's quite a challenge. So for us, just in this last month, for example, We celebrated Ray Mellors, who works in our Hyson Green store. He celebrated his 90th birthday. He still works 12 hours a week, phenomenal colleague, so popular with our customers. Interestingly, he's just celebrated 10 years at Asda. So he didn't join us till he was 80. So he's a fascinating guy to talk with. He actually retired but got bored, so wanted a job. So hence he's been working for us for the last decade. Very pleased we are too to have him. And equally, I was with Jess McLennan on Monday evening. Jess joined us a few years ago while she was studying. She then did her degree and joined our graduate programme in September last year. She's 21. She is our youngest store manager in Woking store and has responsibility for 94 colleagues. She's an amazing young girl, very ambitious, and I'm sure will be I'll be working for her one day, clearly, from what I saw on Monday evening. But just that breadth and span that we have within our organisation is fantastic, but being able to get the best out of each and every colleague is a real trick. It kind of reminds me of my house at Christmas, trying to entertain everybody, making sure grandma's okay, making sure the kids have got what they need, bringing everybody together on the similar things that we can all engage on, yet understanding where we're different and where we need to have different things going on in the house at the same time to make sure that everybody stays happy and content with their day. It's exactly the same in one of our stores, trying to balance all of those different things. So in helping us bring the HR dimension to this particular context, the work that my team and I have been doing is about segmentation of the workforce. We do this naturally with customers. We're not so good at doing it with our own colleagues and workforce. So really trying to understand how best to drive engagement, commitment, prepare leaders and develop leadership capability to cope with this amount of change and this diversity in the workforce to maximum performance. What we've done is we've used segmentation, so data analysis, really taking care to understand tenure, roles people have done, previous experience, ages, working hours people have done or want, promotion ambitions, really trying to understand the individuals we've got. And then from that, validating the data, focus groups. In Asda, something I've learned since being here is the verb of listening. I actually go out and say, I'm going out today doing listening. And I think, God, don't I listen all the time? But actually, it is a set thing that I go and do, and it is my listening schedule. And I go and listen with colleagues, and I take notes, and I confirm what I've heard, and then I respond to the actions. It's quite different to what you think you might do anyway, to actually be held to account, be certain you've heard it, respond back and be held to account for those actions. So going out and validating what you think you know from your data is true. And then finally from that, being able to create analytical profiles from the data you've got to correlate all that together. We're constantly refreshing it. As a minimum, it's refreshed every 3 years. What have I learned? Again, I believe this data will come out to you afterwards, so apologies if it's tiny. We've got 6 segments across our business. This isn't about age, although age does play a part, but it can be a bit too general to just cut it by age. So, for example, we have new and content workers who join our business, and they just want flexibility. They want some money. They want a chance to get their first foot on the rung of the ladder of work. They want a bit of part-time working, but flexibility about how that might fit around studies or children or whatever else they have in their lives. We might have new and ambitious colleagues. These are colleagues who join our business and are absolutely trying to get on and up through the organisation. So they are wanting more hours, they want breadth, they want a chance to try different things and different experiences across the store and across the organisation. As I said, six different groups. What that has allowed me to do is better understand my role then in HR with my team to say, how do we show up? How do we ensure that each of these groups are properly serviced in a way that makes best sense for them? Because I know, and I can correlate this back again, that if I can engage these colleagues in the best way in our business, they become ambassadors of our brand. And the more ambassadors I've got in every store, I can correlate that with positive performance in sales, low shrink, low waste, wage efficiency, and better customer service. So this is important from an HR point of view. It's essential from a business point of view. Again, I've looked to Walmart to see they're slightly ahead in some of their segmentation analysis. And so I've sort of begged, borrowed and stolen with pride and said, what have you already learned and what can I take? A scheduling choice program is something that they've engineered, and we're currently beginning to pilot that. And that's being able to create different schedules and allow colleagues to help select their own. So at different points in their lives, they're able to select the schedules, the flexibility that suits them. So it plays to some of the points Claire raised earlier around flexibility being a crucial element in allowing colleagues to take part in the business in the best way that they possibly can. In other ways, we're slightly ahead of the US, and we have more pathway programs, if you like, how you might join the business at a certain stage and then continue to develop and grow through the organisation. So there is no eligibility criteria in Asda. And to be honest, having worked in the retailing sector pretty much my whole career, that's true across the sector. There's no eligibility. You can get on. You can become the chief exec if you choose to. There's nothing that says you need this level of PhD or this many years of experience. So what we have is step-by-step programs so that if you joined at 16 with no qualifications, or you join as a PhD later on at some other point, you could still make CEO. There's nothing that says one is going to make there quicker than another. Because the programs are all in place, you just slot into your area, select the program of your choice, and off you go. So we've got brilliant programs and fantastic examples of colleagues that have worked their way right through the organisation with that. But that flexibility of career opportunity is really proving to be essential for us. I've picked two more just small examples just to share with you. One is reverse mentoring. This is something with that degree and extent of workforce diversity that we've got, and a way of really engendering inclusion in the business. So whilst we have diversity, we talk more about inclusion than we do about diversity. We talk more about the things that we have in common than the things that we have that are different about us. And very much in Asda, it's about creating a sense that everyone's welcome to join in and play a part. I talk about this in terms of diversity being having the ticket to be invited to the dance. Inclusion is about kicking your shoes off and dancing all night on the dance floor because you can and you feel safe and confident to do it. This is an example of how we try to create that environment of inclusion. And one of the ways we do that is through reverse mentoring. Because we've got legacy colleagues in our business who either have worked in other organisations and joined us later in their careers or have spent a long time in our own organisation, they've grown up with some fantastic leadership skills. They've got brilliant work ethics. Doesn't mean to say they're in a particularly senior role. They just bring so much experience. And some of our millennials who are craving that experience, we've got them connected up. And we are finding some fascinating examples of where we've got this reverse mentoring going on. Our legacy colleagues helping our younger colleagues, and equally, what our younger colleagues are teaching our longer serving colleagues has been fantastic. So it's a really powerful thing. An example of that on Monday this week, something I actually stole from Cisco. I don't know if anyone from Cisco's here. So anyway, I stole it from Cisco and thought I'd have a go at it. CEO for the day. I did something with our graduates, did a little program with them, and the selected graduate got to be the CEO for the day, which was on Monday this week. And they spent all day with our Chief Exec, Andy Clark. They came to our board meetings. We have a session called High Noon, a bit like this, where we address the top leaders in the organisation. This graduate did all of those things all day on Monday. And the mentoring that he got from Andy, and then Andy got from the grad, I can assure you it was a lot more going from the grad, was fantastic. So again, I'm pretty certain we'll continue that going, just as a case in point. My last point to close is culture. One of the things with all of this change that we've been going through as a sector and as a company, and all of the development that we've been giving our leaders and our colleagues within the business, is really that we are certain that the thing that most colleagues really want to feel some sense of foundation under their feet, something that stays the same, the culture of the organisation, something that says, look, the values don't change. The way we behave is the same and consistent wherever you are around the organisation, whatever change might be going on. So we spend a huge amount of time, investment, spent just really focusing on our culture, our behaviours, and our leadership traits. The way we do this is we'll bring colleagues who've perhaps retired from the organisation back to help share their experiences and their legacy stories with the new leaders of today. So there's a baton pass as leaders move on from the organisation, new leaders come up through. The values and the personality that makes customer service, makes working in Asda different and special is continuing. So regardless of what else is changing, the sense of pride in our business, the sense of what we stand for continues to be reliable and the foundation that everybody can use as a bit of a touchstone, whilst other things might be changing around them. I think I'll leave it there, as I know that we'll be running out of time and I'm between you and coffee, I think. So thank you very much.
So we asked you, does your organisation currently make use of schemes to bridge the gap between different generations, like reverse mentoring? What did you guys say? No? No, but would like to. Okay, so that's changing slightly as we speak now. Not a lot. Not a lot reverse mentoring. I just wanted to know a question about between those two older segments you had there. One was stationery and one was legacy.
Yes.
What's the difference between those two?
So our legacy colleagues tend to have longer service in the business. And they tend to be fantastic at ways of working, process, routine, and so they're fantastic trainers and coaches of other newer colleagues in the business. Stationary colleagues tend to be ones that don't want to move their hours and don't want to make any more progress through the business. They tend to be a bit younger, and they can enter that point and then come back out of it again. So it might be a life stage, it might be I'm raising children, so actually I want stability for a while before I then have the spotlight back on me, and I might choose to then progress through the company. So it's a life stage point.
The other question I had was, what is the effect of that? You know, you talked about almost 5 generations, which is massive in some cases, and I love the idea that he joined the business at 80. You know, what is the effect on business results? How can you tell that?
It's hard to say there's one thing that can correlate, but what I can say is if we have a more diverse and blended workforce that is representative of the community that you are serving and that you are in the neighbourhood of, we'll get better results from a store that is representative of the community it serves. So whether that be gender, whether that be ethnicity, whether that be age group, we find that we have more affinity with our customers, we understand service better.
And do you actually map the demographic?
We do. We map the demographic, and we work hard to make sure that each of our stores represents the communities they're serving.
Okay, fascinating. Hayley, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hayley Tatum.